Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. As South Korea enters a new chapter under President Lee Jae-myung, the pressure is already building on the international stage, especially when it comes to trade with the United States. On June 6, in their first call since Lee's inauguration, he and President Donald Trump agreed to fast-track talks on tariffs, which is a critical step in resetting the economic terms between the two allies. The third round of technical negotiations is now expected before the end of this month. But this isn't just another round of trade diplomacy. Prior to the call, the Trump administration enacted a sweeping tariff hike, doubling duties on imported steel and aluminum from 25 to 50, a direct blow to South Korea's export-heavy steel industry. And also, a day later, South Korea was added to the U.S. Treasury currency monitoring list, hinting that monetary policy could be leveraged in future trade talks as well. And within the frame tonight, we turn to trade expert Jeffrey Schott, who is a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, to help us understand what's coming next and how Korea can navigate the road ahead. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So let's delve right into our discussion. So like I've said, on June 6th, President Lee Jae-myung held his first phone call with President Trump, and they agreed to swiftly reach a deal on tariff issues. Both leaders expressed a shared commitment towards a mutually satisfactory agreement, and the third round of talks is expected to be held within a month. Mr. Schott, what do you see as the biggest sticking point in this upcoming round?
Well, first I should say it was very constructive to have that early telephone call and a positive response on both sides to work together to try to find a resolution. The talks are not going to be easy because there are a number of interrelated issues, including the very large Korean trade surplus in automobiles, but also the steel tariffs that you mentioned, but also the defense burden sharing that links two key allies across the Pacific.
So it won't be that easy, but it could actually become a deal breaker moving forward. Now, on that broader front, Mr. Schott, after a phone call in April with former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, President Trump has also mentioned the concept of this one-stop shopping, encompassing defense cost sharing and other security matters into this trade deal dialogue. Do you think Trump will officially push for this approach in talks with the new Korean administration?
Well, I think they'll be looking for changes in Korea's posture on both commercial issues and on economic security issues. The two are vitally interrelated and critical for both our countries. And I think there's a lot that Korea brings to the table in deepening and broadening economic security of our alliance, and that can be a very positive factor in the trade discussions going forward.
Right, so commercial and economic security issues could be bundled up in a deal. So in this case, Mr. Schott, what could South Korea actually bring to the table? You've previously said that Korea should proactively propose win-win industrial cooperation initiatives in areas where Korean and American interests align. What would you say is Korea's key bargain chip?
Well, first and foremost, Korea is a solid ally of the United States. That's critically important and has been for a long time. But Korea is also a global leader in technology. And there are a lot of areas where Korean firms, as world-class firms, are doing more in building capabilities and production facilities in the United States. That's also very important. And a third area is Korea's world-class shipbuilding industry, where the United States has fallen behind. And this is an area where I think Korea can help deepen our mutual security interests in the Asia Pacific and help rebuild U.S. shipbuilding capabilities over time.
So Korea may need to go beyond defense and also play offense with strong proposals as well. Meanwhile, the pressure is already being felt on the ground. With about a month left before the mutual tariff suspension expires, the Trump administration has intensified pressure. Like we've said in our intro, starting June 4th, a presidential executive order raised tariffs on imported steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%, and the impact is likely to be significant for Korean firms. How do you think the Korean steel industry would be able to respond to this?
Well, I think they have to take a measured approach in the short term and hope that the tariffs can be reduced. There's even a possibility that domestic litigation in the United States will force a reduction in the tariffs because of the way that the section of U.S. law, Section 232 of the Trade Act of 1962, used for national security purposes, has been casually used by the Trump administration. So I think there's a chance that there could be domestic litigation that moderates the tariff, but also the tariff could be moderated in the course of the bilateral negotiations between the United States and Korea. And for good reason, because Korea accounts for about 10% of U.S. steel imports. It did last year, at least. And it's a little odd to think that we're applying national security import restrictions mostly against our main allies in Europe and Asia. And Korea ranks fourth in terms of global suppliers of imports to the United States. And we should be treating our allies better than that.
Mr. Schott, you've briefly mentioned about domestic litigation. Speaking of which, let's touch upon that too. A lower court has ruled the reciprocal tariffs invalid, but a higher court has now temporarily brought them back. How might this legal back and forth affect trade talks between Seoul and Washington moving forward?
Well, this is an important point that actually has been on the sidelines of almost all your questions today, and that is simply this: there is a short-term response, and there is a response that takes into account what can occur over the medium term. Some of these issues. One might have to pay a price, which will be lose-lose for Korea and the United States, by having the tariffs imposed and obstructing trade, and increasing the costs of products that use steel and in their manufacturing. All of this just makes us both worse off. But if we can avoid a situation where these tariffs disrupt the prospects of reaching an overall agreement, then I think after a short period of disruption, even if there's a short period of disruption, we can find a solution a bit like the United Kingdom has found in its bilateral trade deal with the United States that allows the reduction or elimination of these special duties. And I think that would be the best thing. We have a free trade agreement between Korea and the United States. It should be at zero tariffs, and it should return to zero tariffs, from my point of view.
Now, President Trump has also justified the tariff hike as a measure to protect American industry. But some people actually interpret it as a strategic pressure to induce foreign companies to invest locally in the U.S. How would you interpret this move?
I think it's both. It provides some protection, and it provides an incentive for some companies, such as we've seen in the auto sector, to invest in more U.S. production facilities so that they can produce in the U.S. for the U.S. market and meet U.S. demand via Korea-owned or partially owned production facilities rather than by exporting directly from Korea. I suspect that's going to happen some more. But doing this raises the cost of production and makes the overall U.S. industry less competitive, and makes the products more costly, which means that U.S. consumers are likely to buy fewer of those products. So one has to think that this may not be the best solution for the United States to continue this policy of high tariff protection, even if it draws in a little bit more money from abroad.
So not all of it brings positive benefits to America's economy as well. Now, Mr. Schott, another lever the U.S. seems to be pulling are exchange rates. On June 5th, the Trump administration designated South Korea as a currency monitoring country in its first foreign exchange report. And the administration has previously signaled that exchange rate issues may be included in talks with countries pursuing so-called unfair currency practices. Do you think this designation will be used as leverage in tariff negotiations with Seoul?
Well, I think in the near term with Korea, probably not so much. I'm more optimistic on this issue. There were 9 countries that were listed for monitoring, based largely on data from 2024 with regard to trade and current account and the like. But the situation has changed quite a bit this year, and the won has appreciated quite a bit against the dollar in 2025 so far. And so I think some of those concerns have already been mitigated by movements in the currency markets this year.
That's good to hear. So we've been talking about this growing uncertainty regarding tariff negotiations. Mr. Schott, what kind of strategic approach now should South Korea take in this dealings with the U.S.? President Lee Jae-myung has stated he will not rush into tariff talks. In this context, how should Korea respond to America's push for quick results?
Well, they've set a deadline for the imposition of much higher tariffs. I think the talks deserve great priority, and both presidents have indicated they feel that way as well. That was the gist of the phone conversation they had last week. But you can't sort of rush through these negotiations when they deal with very sensitive and important issues. You need to make sure that you spend enough time to get the details right. And I think in some areas we'll be able to make great progress relatively quickly. And in some areas, such as in shipbuilding, I think there are important new opportunities where Korea can offer some benefits short term from from production in Korea in return for increased support and training and investment in the U.S. market over the medium to long term. I think there's great opportunities here. The U.S. could benefit a lot from the expertise that Korea has in shipbuilding and semiconductors and elsewhere. So our partnership should be able to deepen to the benefit of both countries.
So do you mean South Korea should expand areas of cooperation in other industries as well in order to pursue trade negotiations with the U.S.?
No, I think for solid commercial reasons, to strengthen the economic security of Korea and the United States by deepening and building a more enduring alliance between our two countries, which is already very strong. I think there is the prospect for trading more, for investing more, for sharing information, for building more production facilities in the United States, for using Korean facilities to strengthen U.S. defense posture and performance in the Asia Pacific. It's an area, particularly in shipbuilding, where I think there is unrealized potential that the two governments can move quickly to take advantage of and hopefully use that as a reason why they can lower the extreme tariffs that have been proposed by the Trump administration.
So it would be a great negotiation tactic and also benefit both economies as well. Now, stepping back a little bit, Mr. Schott, you've long been emphasizing Korea's accession to the CPTPP. Could you explain for us why is this an especially important move at this time around?
Well, Korea, like a number of countries in the Asia Pacific region, has important trade ties with the United States, but also with neighboring countries in East Asia. And it's critical for the strengthening of regional supply chains, which are so important for Korean industry and help support Korean exports, that Korea maintain its ties with all of the major countries in the region. And deepen its ties with the CPTPP countries in particular. Now, Korea already has a free trade agreement with 8 of the 12 CPTPP countries, but negotiating membership in the CPTPP would strengthen ties with Japan, with Mexico, with Malaysia, and Brunei. And that would help bring a lot of economic benefits in terms of economic security and in terms of increased markets, productive opportunities for Korean firms in the region and through its expanding exports to this very important market. So a lot of pluses, and joining the CPTPP would put it in a much better position in dealing with the 2 largest economies of the Asia Pacific region, the United States and China. And it would still have good ties in dealing with both because of the Chorus FTA and because Korea still works closely with China in the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, and through the China-Japan-Korea talks that are engaged trilaterally. So I think it just provides additional avenues for success for Korean policy and a way of promoting economic growth in Korea.
So in a moment where pressure is high and options seem limited, CPTPP could be more than just a trade deal. It might be Korea's long-term insurance as well. It's a very critical point to end our discussion on. Mr. Schott, thank you so much for your insights and making time for us tonight. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, that'll be all for Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.